Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Lam, sitting in for David Zhang. Here are today's top stories. A new program could eventually give illegal immigrants a path to citizenship. We'll take a look at President Biden's announcement. Border Patrol arrested a homicide suspect from China. He is one of many illegal immigrants trying to cross the US-Mexico border. A firefighter jumped through a moving ambulance to stop a thief. More details on what led to this situation. First up, some immigrants without legal status who are married to Americans can soon apply for permanent residency and eventually citizenship. President Joe Biden on Tuesday announced a new effort to provide a path to citizenship to hundreds of thousands of immigrants in the U.S. illegally. The plan celebrates the 12th anniversary of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, also known as DACA.
The process is cumbersome, risky, and it separates families. Under the current process, undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens must go back to their home country, for example, to Mexico, to fill out paperwork and obtain long-term legal status. They have to leave their families in America with no assurance that they'll be allowed back in the United States. So they stay in America, but in the shadows, living in constant fear of deportation without the ability to legally work.
To qualify for the new program, an immigrant must have lived in the U.S. for 10 years as of Monday and be married to an American citizen. If approved, the individual would have 3 years to apply for a green card and receive a temporary work permit. They'd also be shielded from deportation in the meantime. This could affect upwards of 500,000 immigrants. About 50,000 non-citizen children could also qualify if they have a parent who is married to an American. Hunter Biden's legal team filed and then withdrew a motion for a fresh trial yesterday. A note on the docket website says the motion has been deleted at the request of counsel. Lawyer Abe Lowell wrote in the motion that the court which found Hunter Biden guilty lacked jurisdiction. He argued 2 appeals in the case are still pending, and it was not within the federal court's power to proceed with the trial. But the motion was quickly withdrawn without comment. Abe Lowell's office did not yet respond to questions from the media. Last week, a jury found Hunter Biden guilty of making a false statement to buy a gun, among several charges. Hunter Biden faces a maximum sentence of 25 years in prison, but it is unlikely he will face this penalty as a first-time offender. Police say a Secret Service agent was robbed at gunpoint after President Biden's fundraiser in Los Angeles. The Secret Service said the agent fired his service weapon during the incident but did not sustain any injuries. Police say the suspect attacked the agent at around 9:30 p.m. Pacific Time Saturday, after Biden returned to his hotel following his fundraising event. The suspect reportedly stole the agent's bag. Police are on the lookout for a silver Infiniti FX35 or a similar-looking vehicle. The police department said there is no threat to the public. They located some of the agent's belongings in the area. It is unknown if the suspect was injured after the agent fired his gun. Meanwhile, a current Boeing employee claims that the company tried to shield broken or out-of-specification 737 MAX plane parts from regulators and lost track of them. This is according to a Senate subcommittee investigation. The new whistleblower is Sam Mohawk, who works for Boeing Quality Assurance. He claims that Boeing tried to hide the non-conforming parts from FAA regulators by moving them out of sight and falsifying records. Boeing has only said it received the report from congressional investigators.
But we are taking action, and we are...
Border Patrol arrested a homicide suspect from China in Southern California. He was crossing the U.S. border illegally. This comes as the U.S. government continues to help illegal immigrants get to their destination.
The San Diego Border Patrol on Tuesday arrested a Chinese national who had an active homicide warrant. They detained him near the Jacamba area where he crossed illegally. On Monday, 2 government buses dropped off approximately 150 illegal immigrants at a transit center in San Diego. According to Reuters, the men and women were from India, Pakistan, Colombia, and China. Some migrants got into taxis to unknown destinations. The high volume of crossings has ignited a political firestorm for President Joe Biden as the Democrat seeks re-election in November. This comes as the White House announced Tuesday a program to allow certain spouses of U.S. citizens without legal status to apply for permanent residency and eventually citizenship. Democrats hope to sharply contrast Biden with presumptive GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump and his campaign pledge to deport millions if he is re-elected. Trump's campaign accused the incumbent president of creating, quote, another invitation for illegal immigration. If re-elected, Trump could dissolve the program, but immigrants who are granted parole status would still be protected.
Authorities are seeking the public's help to identify and locate a man using a walker who allegedly stole thousands worth of cigarettes from a Delaware drugstore. NTD's Christina Corona tells us more details on the story.
The Delaware State Police reported that a man went behind the counter at a Walgreens in Wilmington while the employee was occupied in another part of the store, stealing $11,000 worth of cigarettes from the shelf before walking out of the store. Surveillance photos show the suspect is a male wearing a red t-shirt, red shorts, pushing a walker with a Target bag hanging on the side. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is urged to contact Delaware Crime Stoppers. Christina Corona, NTD News.
An ambulance theft was averted when a firefighter jumped through the moving vehicle's window. The police took the thief into custody. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
The Willoughby Hills Fire Department said that paramedics parked their ambulance outside a hospital in Willoughby, Ohio on Sunday morning. They went inside to do a routine drug box exchange. As they were returning to the vehicle, they noticed a man had gotten inside the ambulance and started to drive away. Firefighter and paramedic Brian Palladino immediately ran and jumped through the open driver's side window of the moving ambulance, and he was able to subdue the suspect. According to the fire department, Palladino's partner and hospital staff helped secure the suspect until police arrived and took him into custody. The Willoughby Hills fire chief said, quote, anytime someone makes the extremely poor decision to steal a public safety vehicle, is putting themselves and everyone around them at risk. Thankfully, the quick, heroic actions of firefighter, paramedic Brian Palladino averted a potentially more disastrous scenario. The fire department said Palladino suffered minor ankle and arm injuries, but no one else was hurt. The ambulance sustained moderate damage after crashing into a helicopter landing pad during the incident. No structural damage was done to the hospital. Jason Blair, NTD News.
Southern California prison officials are searching for a 29-year-old inmate. The suspect escaped while being held for attempted murder in San Bernardino County. NTD's Christina Corona has the story.
Deshaun Stamps, a Riverside resident who's been in custody since January 2023, escaped from the West Valley Detention Center in Rancho Cucamonga on Sunday, June 16th, around 12:20 p.m. during an outdoor recreation period. The 29-year-old is described as a black male, 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing approximately 170 pounds. Stamps has green eyes, is currently bald, and has tattoos on his neck and head. Officials are unsure what clothing Stamps may be wearing. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is urged to contact 911, and officials warned to not attempt to make contact with him. Anonymous tips can be submitted through the We Tip hotline or WeTip.com. Christina Corona, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. An entire village in New Mexico was ordered to leave their homes instantly last night. 2 fires converged, and California firefighters fend off blazes in difficult weather conditions. How to stay safe and avoid accidental fires during 4th of July celebrations? A fire chief shares some tips and advice on fireworks safety. Bloodsicles, electrolytes, and showers. That's what one Arizona zoo is using to help keep their animals cool in the blistering heat. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Lamb. Fire officials are concerned that New Mexico's fire could be pushed eastward by winds. Hundreds of people evacuated with roads closed down. California also battling fires during fire season. Here are the updates. As of Tuesday, fire crews are still battling the New Mexico fires, where two fast-moving fires converged together near the southern part of the state. The entire village of Ruidoso was required to evacuate yesterday, home to around 8,000 people. The village has been closed. They received an order to go now, saying, "Do not attempt to gather belongings or protect your home. Evacuate immediately." New Mexico's utility company says it's shutting down power for public safety reasons, affecting 800 customers. Red Cross reported that nearly 400 people checked into shelters in Roswell and Capitan. The South Fork fire was nearly 14,000 acres and 0% contained, according to New Mexico fire data. Around 500 structures are estimated to be impacted. This fire was discovered at 9 a.m. on Monday, burning around the village of Ruidoso. It connected with the Salt Fire, nearly 5,000 acres, 0% contained. In Southern California, the NOAA said the Post Fire burned more than 15,000 acres. It's 20% contained, located about 65 miles northwest of Los Angeles.
We have 2.5 years of unburned fuel in a lot of places because we haven't had a big major fire over the last couple of seasons. We've had them just bumping off, but not to this size. So there's a lot of unburnt fuel out there and a lot of growth. And with the wind and the low humidity, they've dried out already.
Northern California also has the Sites Fire, which sent black clouds of smoke into the air in Colusa County. 1,000 people evacuated. The fire departments battled against high temperatures, low humidity, and strong winds, which CAL FIRE says hamper their containment efforts. David Lamb, NTD News. With the 4th of July approaching, America looks forward to explosive light shows and sparkling activities once again. But a recent trend of firework-related incidents highlights the dangers of these festive explosives. NTD's BJ Kang talks with a fire chief about how you can stay safe during this year's Independence Day.
The 4th of July is a little under a month away, and there are already reports of reckless firework use, including a low-flying helicopter stunt and e-biker pyrotechnic attacks. So I spoke to Sam DiGiovanna, a Southern California fire chief, for some advice on how to have a fun and safe 4th of July celebration. Here's our conversation, starting off by asking, what's the safest way to enjoy some firework light shows?
Leave it to the professionals. There's a lot of professional fireworks shows and there's a lot of drone shows. So look up in your community, contact your city hall or your local fire department and see where the shows are and leave it to the professionals.
Yet, we still made sure to go over how to use and spectate personal use fireworks properly.
Well, what you just said right there, handling. Do not handle them. Do not hold on to them. Put them on the ground, light the fuse, and get away. You should also have a garden hose nearby in the case something happens. But once you light them, get away from them. You know, if you're a spectator, you get at least 25 to 30 feet back from the fireworks that are being lit, they're safe and sane. But also remember, there's nothing safe or sane about giving a sparkler to a toddler. There's, those things burn at 1,200 degrees, so there's nothing safe about those.
Fire Chief DiGiovanna also explained what to do if a firework-inflicted injury occurs.
Well, every year, approximately 8,500 people are treated in emergency rooms to fireworks-related injuries. Most of those are to the hands, face, and arms, and some of them include burns and even amputation of fingers. So you have to be really careful because even the safe and sane fireworks can be very dangerous. If it's a burn, you obviously cool the burn down with water. If it's a impairment to extremities, try to keep whatever the extremities are on ice and bandage. If there's bleeding, keep direct pressure over the wound and call 911 immediately. Do not hesitate.
We then asked what other conditions people should be wary of when using fireworks.
Well, we've had a lot of rain this winter, so with that comes a lot of growth in our foothills and even in vacant lots and open areas. So the fuels are even out there more. It's warming up. They're drying out. By 4th of July, they'll be really dry. The fuel moisture content will be extremely low, and these fuels will be very flammable. So we need to be cognizant of that and keep our distance away from hillside or open lots or dry vegetation. And as far as pyrotechnic events, you have to have the proper permits and a location to do those. So just don't arbitrarily go out and start doing pranks or stunts just for attention. And especially things with what we saw down in the beach communities where kids on e-bikes were lighting fireworks off and shooting them towards people. That's pure stupidity, and it's dangerous, and it's criminal.
To wrap up, DiGiovanna gave some final advice regarding Independence Day safety.
Well, again, leave it to the professionals. Use good common sense. If you do go to a community where there are fireworks that are being sold, just use good common sense. Keep people at a distance. Don't handle the fireworks, and don't allow them in the hands of anyone at all, especially children.
By following Chief DiGiovanna's advice and warnings, you can enjoy your 4th of July celebrations without danger. BJ Kang, NTD News, California.
People and animals alike are trying to beat the heat. At one Arizona zoo, the animals are given Bloodsicles, electrolytes, and showers.
Phoenix, Arizona is bracing for another week where temperatures are expected to exceed 110 degrees. Animals whose natural habitat is not the dry desert are being monitored closely as the heat rises. The Phoenix Zoo has come up with a variety of ways to cool off animals, including hose downs, mister lines, cooling pads, ponds, mud water, and ice treats.
So the way I see it, as soon as we start feeling uncomfortable, that's probably when it's time to start misting them down. These guys will have a little higher heat tolerance than your average person, but even so, they're not immune to the effects of heat. So just as often as possible.
Truddy, a one-horned rhinoceros, had his leathery hide and snout hosed down, as did Elvis, a Galapagos giant tortoise. Indu, an Asian elephant, slurped up her icy Gatorade treat. And over in Monkey Village, tiny squirrel monkeys pulled frozen grapes out of pillowcases.
Here it's super hot. So if we didn't have all these accommodations for them, they wouldn't survive and thrive here. So that's why it's important to make sure that we do all these things for them and make sure we're constantly checking on them. Because even with all the things we do, there can be unexpected development. So we have to make sure we're always keeping on top of their health care.
The nutrition services workers at the Phoenix Zoo prepare the treats with electrolyte powders and fresh fruits. For carnivores, they freeze blood to create Bloodsicles.
Shifting over to sports, the Boston Celtics are once again the NBA franchise with the most championships after defeating the Dallas Mavericks and claiming their 18th title.
The Boston Celtics are the 2024 NBA champions. They secured their record-setting 18th title in franchise history and their first since 2008 with a 106-88 Game 5 victory over the Dallas Mavericks on Monday night. Jason Tatum shone in Game 5, contributing 31 points and 11 assists to earn his first championship ring. Jaylen Brown added 21 points and was named Finals MVP in the decisive win. The Celtics now hold the most titles in NBA history, surpassing the Los Angeles Lakers, who claimed their 17th championship in 2020. Boston was the league's best team throughout the season, winning 64 regular season games and going 16-3 in the playoffs. They capped their impressive run by defeating the Mavericks 4-1 in the 2024 NBA Finals. This championship comes exactly 16 years after the Celtics' previous title on June 17, 2008. Led by Tatum and Brown, the Celtics have been consistent contenders in the Eastern Conference, reaching 6 of the last 8 conference finals. However, this was their only second finals appearance in the Tatum-Brown era, having fallen short in the 2022 NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. This year's championship is the first in forward Al Horford's 17-season career. The longtime Celtic had played in 186 playoff games before capturing his first title, second only to Karl Malone, for the most postseason games played without winning a championship. This title is also the second in 4 years for Drew Holiday, acquired by the Celtics in a preseason trade after the Bucks traded him in a deal to obtain Damian Lillard. Holiday contributed significantly in the finals, including 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists in Game 5, while also playing strong defense against Dallas stars Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Doncic ended the game with a team-high 28 points, but continues to seek his first NBA title after leading the 5th-seeded Mavericks to their first finals in 13 years. Irving struggled in Boston, scoring 15 points in Game 5 and averaging 14.3 points in the 3 finals game at TD Garden, all of which Dallas lost.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. Millionaires are still fleeing China. A new report says the country is set to lose over 15,000 of the ultra-wealthy this year, a record. More on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Lamb. That's our program. Have a wonderful evening.